Good morning, everyone. Morning na afternoon? 12 bazil niki? Let me see. 9 baja. Okay. So good morning, everyone, and wishing you all a very, very happy New Year. Okay. So aji after New Year, this is our first class. So he karne happy New Year to all of you. And I wish ki apnalokor etu bosor jate khub bhal jay. Aru logote aru eta kotha. Please continue with your studies. Thik ase New Year ekhini to baro thik ase. New Year ekhini that is fine, but important bostu ki koribo laibo. Important bostu is your revision, right? New bosor ahi paise jeti amar ki hobo examinations bur apnaloke gome pai examinations bur hoi thakibo hoine. So examinations jodi hoy, so we need to do what? We need to prepare, right? Majote ekedin bondho asile from 31st apnaloke bondho paise, classes 1 asile. So I hope you all are continue with your revision. ঠিক আছে, revision যদি continue কৰিছে well and good, যদি নকৰে বস্তুখিনি পাহৰি যাব হয়নে? মই আগতেও এইখিনি কথা কৈছো, last class যেতিয়া আছিল মই তেতিয়াও কৈছো, right? Celebration is important, but along with that revision is also very, very important. Okay, Mauryan Empire complete হোৱা নাই নেকি? Mauryan Empire complete হৈছে, but as you know MCQs আমি ডিসকাস কৰি আছিলো, so হেকাৰণে MCQs খিনি আমি আজি ডিসকাস কৰিব লাগিব। ঠিক আছে, যদি Mauryan Empire complete হৈছে, next আমি from tomorrow, yes, tomorrow আৰু এটা ক্লাস কৰিম আমি MCQ, that is Gupta and Vardhana dynasty বা 𝒘𝒊𝒕 dynasty. After this আমাৰ MCQ complete হ'ব, then আমি medieval start কৰিম। ঠিক আছে, okay. So I always request you to revise, right? This is the only thing. New year, new you, right? New you with your revision techniques. ঠিক আছে? So you need to revise. Also, more recently classes jeta YouTube dia hoy, tetia I got a comment ki ma'am classes khini regular anibo. So eta kotha moi koi diu, classes khini regular e korwa hoy, thik ase? Facebook or jehetu eta classes khini korwa goise, so Facebook or pora download kori jeta YouTube dia hoy, hekini karone olop time lage, he karone classes khini one day delay hoy thake, but Facebook or classes khini amar regular e korwa hoy. Recently ইয়াৰ আগৰ যোনটো MCQ classes আছিলে, হেতু MCQ classes কিন্তু till now YouTube ত আপলোড কৰা হোৱা নাই। Okay, so Facebook ত কৰোৱাৰ কাৰণে এটো প্ৰবলেম হৈ গৈছে, but আমাৰ ইনষ্ট্ৰাকচন আছে Facebook ত কৰা, হে কাৰণে কৰাইছো, but কথা নাই YouTube ত পাই যাব, but অলপ ডিলে হয়। So this is the only reason, and আপোনালোকক তো কোৱাই হৈছে কি Facebook ত classes খিনি কৰিবলৈ হয়নে? Anyways, so let's start with today's class and let's start with the Mauryan Empire. Okay, ঠিক আছে। Mauryan Empire MCQs. Okay, question number 1. Which dynasty was ruling Magad immediately before the rise of the Mauryas? Okay, and also please do try to answer. Okay, eneko hobo nalage mane iman din to etoi hoy ase, moi question kori asu, moi answer di asu hoine, so porikha to moi dibole na jao, apnaloke dibo, so I need that effort from your side, right? Olap nije effort to diok, karon ইমান দিন মোক সবে MCQ কৰালৈ কৈ আছিল, ইমান দিন descriptive classes কৰাইছিলো, students were demanding MCQs, and now when there are MCQs I don't get participation from you all, right? So your participation is important. যদি আপোনালোকে participate নকৰে, মই answer দি থাকো, মই question কৰি থাকো, কি লাভ হ'ব? আৰু এনেকুৱা নহয় কি questions বোৰ মুখস্থ, মানে এখিনি question যদি পঢ়ি যায় হেখিনি পৰীক্ষা আহিব, এটোটো নহয়। So হে কাৰণে মুখস্থ কৰাটো it is not a way to study, right? Current affairs, yes, মই কথা পাতিছিলো regarding current affairs. So current affairs or কথাটো হৈছে it is being compiled. Okay, current affairs খিনি compile কৰা হৈছে, যেতিয়া compilation complete হৈ যাব আপোনালোকক দিয়া হ'ব। ঠিক আছে, মই যেতিয়া ম্যানেজমেন্টৰ লগত কথা পাতিছিলো, ম্যানেজমেন্ট টিমে মোক এখিনি কথা জনাইছে। Okay, ঠিক আছে, do try to answer. Okay, the first question is, which dynasty was ruling Magad immediately before the rise of the Mauryas? So Magad jete ami পঢ়িছিলো, মানে Mauryas jete ami পঢ়িছিলো, first আমি কি পঢ়িছিলো কি 16 Mahajanapadas, right? Amar after Buddhism, Jainism আমি কার বিষয়ে পঢ়িছিলো, we have studied about Mahajanapadas. So 16 Mahajanapadas or বিষয়ে কোনখন কিতাপত লিখা আছে, it is written in a book named as Anguttara Nikaya. 12 Mahajanapadas or বিষয়ে ক'ত লিখা আছে, Dighaya Nikaya, right? এখিনি বস্তু মই কৈছিলো। Okay, so with that what will happen, Magad amar ki hoisile jetia ami 16 Mahajanapadas along with their capitals ami jetia pohisilu, ami ki pohisilu MVAC, right? Magad, Vatsa, Avanti and Kaushala. These were the 4 Mahajanapadas who emerged to be victorious, right? Out of them ki hoisile, out of them the Magadh emerged to be the most victorious. Now why Magadh? Magadh kyo asile ekhini ami pohisilo, alluvial soil asile, fertile soil asile, iron deposits asile in the Chota Nagpur plateau, right? Also amar ki asile, also asile amar the elephants, right? Elephants kini ki use korisile, kot use korisile, tolke warot use korisile. Okay, so this was what? This was the reason why was the Magadh the center, right? This was the reason. Okay, anyways, so yate amar question ki hudise, which dynasty was ruling Magadh immediately before the rise of the Mauryas? Okay, so Mauryan dynasty me jano eta ki asile amar, it was a very big dynasty, but amar history karone it is very much important. Kintu before Mauryas amar ki asile, before Mauryas amar kisman dynasties asile. So question amar ki hudise, Mauryans agor dynasty to কি আছিল ঠিক আছে এটা ফার্স্ট ডাইনাস্টি কিন্তু হুদা নাই ফার্স্ট ডাইনাস্টি হলে কি হ'ব ইট উইল বি হৰিয়াংকা ডাইনাস্টি ঠিক আছে কি হুদিছে মোক মৰিয়ানজৰ আগৰ ডাইনাস্টিটো সো আগৰ ডাইনাস্টি যদি মোক হুদিছে আগৰ ডাইনাস্টি কি হ'ব আই গট এন আনসাৰ ইয়াতে এজনে কি কৈছে ইট উইল বি দা Nandas. Okay, so now let's see the answer. What will be the answer to this question? The answer to this question is the Nandas, right? So কাক defeat কৰিছিলে? Who was the last Nanda ruler that was being defeated? তেওঁৰ নাম কি আছিল? It was Dhanananda. হয় Dhanananda কোন আছিলে last ruler of the Nanda dynasty. Founder কোন আছিলে? Founder was Mahapadma Nanda, হয়নে? আৰু last ruler কোন আছিলে? Last ruler was Dhanananda. Dhanananda কি কৰিছিলে? Dhanananda কোনে defeat কৰিছিলে? Chandragupta Maurya defeat কৰিছিলে with the help of whom? With the help of Chanakya, right? This particular Chanakya is also known as Kautilya or আৰু এটা নাম কি তেওঁৰ? He is also known as Vishnu. ঠিক আছে চাণক্য কৌটিল্য বা বিষ্ণুগুপ্তাই কি কৰিছিলে চন্দ্ৰগুপ্ত মৌৰ্যক হেল্প কৰিছিলে to defeat Dhanananda and establish what? Establish the Mauryan dynasty. ঠিক আছে so last ruler কোন আছিল? Last ruler was Dhanananda. Okay, moving on to the next question. Who among the following is credited with shifting the capital of Magadh from Rajgir to Patliputra? ঠিক আছে capital shifting হৈছিলে আমি এটো বিষয় পঢ়িছো in details so question ও তাৰ পৰাই আছে. Who among the following is credited with shifting of capital from Rajgir to Patliputra? Options ki ase? Bimbisara, Ajatashatru, Mahapadma Nanda aru Kal Ashoka. So capital kune shift korisile from Rajgir to Patliputra? Anyone? Kautilya. Kautilya to option ate nai. How can it be Kautilya? Kautilya keneke capital shift korbo? Kautilya ki korisile? Kautilya Chandragupta Mauryak help korisile hoyne? Kautilya kun asile? Kautilya, he was a help to whom? He was a help to Chandragupta Maurya to defeat whom? Defeat Dhanananda, right? So teo keneke capital shift korbo? Teo to Raja nasile. Raja kon asile? The king was Chandragupta Maurya, who was helped by Kautilya. Kintu moi yat ki hudisu kune shift korisile, right? Kautilya was not a king. Okay, so who among the following is credited with shifting the capital of Magadh from Rajgir to Patliputra? So what will be the answer to this question? Answer to this question is Ajatashatru. Okay, after Ajatashatru kon asile? It was Udayan. Okay, now Ajatashatru jihetu ase, Ajatashatru বিষয়ে আমি কি কি পঢ়িছিলো? Ajatashatru কোনটো Buddhist council কৰিছিলে launch? Anyone? Ajatashatru is associated with one of the Buddhist council. হেতু কোনটো asile? First, second, third ne fourth? Okay, do let me know eto kuntu Buddhist council asile. Logote Ajatashatru, he was known with two other names, right? Hekini names moi class ot koisilo. He name kini ki asile? He was also known as what? This particular Ajatashatru, he was also known as Punika or Ashoka Chanda, right? This particular Ajatashatru, he was also known as Kunika or Ashoka Chanda. ঠিক আছে Ajatashatru লগতে আমি কি পঢ়িছিলো মোক आंसर কোনবাই বি দিছে Ajatashatru ওকে সো নেক্সট আমি ইয়াৰ লগতে কি পঢ়িছিলো যে Ajatashatruৱে কি কৰিছিলে দুটা war weapons তেওঁ লঞ্চ কৰিছিলে হয়নে কি কি নাম আছিল ইট वाज Rathamusala and Mahashila Kantaka, right? মই কৈছিলো হয়নে this was used in the movie Bahubali হয়নে যদি আপোনালোকে descriptive classes খিনি চাইছে so Rathamusala and Mahashila Kantaka war weapons asile কাৰ war weapons asile this was the war weapons of Ajatashatru ঠিক আছে লগতে কি asile he was given two names the names were Kunika as well as Ashoka Chanda okay মই কৈছিলো হয়নে Ashoka Chanda Kal Ashoka they are different okay so he is associated with which particular Buddhist council he is associated with the first Buddhist council ঠিক আছে so kuntu Buddhist council লগত associated he is associated with the first Buddhist council no miss b what do you mean by no miss b okay yate important ki hoy important is the Buddhist council ঠিক আছে অপশন খিনি আমি কিয় ডিসকাস কৰো যাতে অপশনৰ লগত ৰিলেটেড আমাৰ বাকি খিনি ফ্যাক্টস আমি এবাৰ ৰিভাইজ কৰি লওঁ ঠিক আছে এনেকৈ হ'ব নালাগে কি মই আগৰ কোৱেশ্চনটো পঢ়িলো লগতে মই আনসাৰটো মুখস্থ কৰি গলো পৰীক্ষা যদি এটো নাহিলে দেন উই ডোন্ট নো what to do right হেখিনি বস্তু ষ্টুডেন্টৰ প্ৰবলেম হয় this is the reason আমি এক্সট্ৰা ইনফৰমেশন খিনি ডিসকাস কৰো right paper is being not set by me হয়নে so this is the reason okay Ajatashatru was also known as what Kunika or Ashoka Chanda he is associated with the first Buddhist council right sarikhon asile Buddhist council so first Buddhist council was associated with Ajatashatru logote ki asile he introduced two war weapons known as Rathamusala as well as Mahashila Kantaka okay next question the Haryanka dynasty is historically associated with which ruler Mahapadma Nanda Bimbisara Udainne Shishunaga easy question important question okay The Haryanka dynasty is historically associated with which ruler? Haryanka dynasty, amar ki asle? This was the first ruling dynasty of Magad. Haine Haryanka dynasty asle? This was the first ruling dynasty of Magad. So yare logot associated kunjon ruler kotha ami pohisu ba ami jano. Okay. So give me answer to this question. The Haryanka dynasty is historically associated with which ruler? Mahapadma Nanda, Bimbisara, Udainne, Shishunaga. Haryanka dynasty বিষয়টো আমি in details পঢ়িছিলো হয়নে সবৰ বিষয় পঢ়িছিলো so give me the answer to this question Haryanka dynasty is historically associated with which particular ruler so what will be the answer to this question it is Bimbisara right Bimbisara বিষয় আমি কি পঢ়িছিলো marriage alliances বহুত important আছিল হয়নে marriage alliances okay so Bimbisara কোন আছিল founder of Haryanka dynasty right Haryanka dynasty আমি যেটা পঢ়িছিলো Bimbisarar কাৰণে আমি কি পঢ়িছিলো he was the founder of the Haryanka dynasty okay now this particular Bimbisara he was also known as what this particular Bimbisara he was also known as Shronika or Senia হয়নে Bimbisara আমি কি নামেৰে জানো he was also known as Shronika or Senia okay now their marriage alliances কেখন আছিল he had four particular marriage alliances right he four particular marriage alliances or বিষয় আমি in details classত আমি discuss কৰিছিলো okay লগতে এটা important কি আছিল he built the city of what he built the city of Rajgir বা new Rajagriha হয় he built the city of Rajgir or new Rajagriha ঠিক আছে আৰু কি পঢ়িছিলো he sent physician Jivaka to Ujjain to cure whom to cure Pradyota হয়নে আৰু কি পঢ়িছিলো আমি he had conquered Anga আৰু their marriage alliances or বিষয় আমি পঢ়িছিলো now Bimbisara ki asile? Bimbisara had 4 marriage alliances. Hane? Kekhon marriage alliances? He had 4 marriage alliances. First to kar logot asile? It was Kausala Devi. Right? Kausala Devi kun asile? Sister of Prasenjit. Hane? Okay. Next ki asile? Sister of Prasenjit. Prasenjit kuntu dynasty par asile ba kuntu area par asile? Prasenjit was from Kausala. ঠিক আছে সো কৌশলা দেবী কোন আছে she was the sister of Prasenjit and যেতিয়া বিয়া হৈছিলে ডাউৰিত কি দিছিলে প্ৰসেনজিতে ডাউৰিত কাশী দিছিলে কাশী এজ এ ডাউৰি কাক দিছিলে কাশী এজ এ ডাউৰি বিম্বিসাৰাক দিছিলে ঠিক আছে সো he had good relation with কৌশলা as well as কাশী গোল হেতু আছিল এটা matrimonial alliances right so second matrimonial alliances তৰ কাৰ লগত আছিল second matrimonial alliances আছিল with চেলানা হয় second matrimonial alliances কাৰ লগত আছে it was with চেলানা এটা চেলানা কোন আছিল she was a লিচ্ছাবি princess হয়নে লিচ্ছাবি head কোন আছিল লিচ্ছাবি head জনৰ নাম আছিল চেতাকা and চেতাকাৰ কোন আছিল চেতাকাৰ daughter আছিল চেলানা and ইয়াৰে লগত ৰিলেচন আমি কাৰ কৈছিল it was with মহাবীৰ জৈন হয়নে মই খিনি কথা ক্লাছত কৈছিল ঠিক আছে সো মহাবীৰ জৈনৰ mother she was also associated with this particular dynasty but Mahavir Jain is also associated with this particular dynasty okay Chelana kon asile daughter of Chetaka or key relation asile daughter of Chetaka also Chetaka had a sister hoy Chetaka had a sister who was later on later on became Mahavir Jain's mother ঠিক আছে so this was a relation নাম to কি asile name was Trishala so it was a তেওঁলোকৰ মাজত relation okay so second matrimonial alliances কাৰ লগত আছিল it was with Chelana who was a Lichavi princess okay next is the third marriage alliances কাৰ লগত আছিল it was with Vaidehi Vasahi and the last one was with Khema okay this was what this was the matrimonial alliances of whom matrimonial alliances of Bimbisara who was also known as Shonika or Senior ঠিক আছে and he had found the city of what found the city of Rajgir মই কৈছিল মানে Rajgir Girviraja both are the same places okay interchangeably name খিনি আমি use কৰো okay moving on to the next question Mahapadma Nanda is described in the Puranic sources as the first Buddhist ruler a destroyer of Kshatriya dynasties a follower of Jainism a vassal of Magadha Mahapadma Nanda is described in Puranic sources as the first Buddhist ruler, a destroyer of Kshatriya dynasties, a follower of Jainism, a vassal of Magadha. এখিনি বস্তুটো মই পঢ়াইছো ৰিভিজন কৰা নাই see without revision even I can't help you okay ঠিক আছে পাছলে যাতে মই নুহুনো কি মেমে পঢ়োৱাখিনি একো পৰীক্ষাত আহা নাই each and everything মই পঢ়াই গৈছো so I need your answers okay এনেকা হ'ব নালাগে লাষ্টত বলে মেমে একো পঢ়োৱা নাই বা মেমে পঢ়োৱাখিনি একো পৰীক্ষাত অহা নাই আগতেও কৈছো হয়নি it is very very easy to blame a particular person কিন্তু আমাৰ problem কি হয় that is human nature right human nature আমাৰ problem কি হয় we don't look at ourselves আমাৰ নিজৰ ভুলটো আমি কেতিয়াও নাচাও হয়নে আমি চাবই নিবিচাৰো right আমাৰ self introspection to it is less we don't do it আমি নিজৰ ভুলটো কেতিয়াও নাচাও আমি কি চাও বেলেগৰ ভুলটো চাও বা বেলেগে কি কৰবা নাই আমি হেতু চাও নিজৰটো আমি কেতিয়াও নাচাও সেই কাৰণে মই কৈছো revision is very much important okay if you don't revise বহুত problem হৈ যাব So Mahapadma Nanda is described in Puranic sources as what? He was described as a destroyer of Kshatriya dynasties. This is the reason he is also known as what? This is the reason he is also known as 𝒐𝒏𝒆𝒄𝒕 হয়নে তেওঁৰ কি নাম আছিলে he was also known as হয় এটো নাম মই কৈছিলো ক্লাছত মই যেটা ডেসক্ৰিপটিভলি পঢ়াই আছিলো তেতিয়া মই কৈছিলো he was also known as what he was also known as 𝒐𝒏𝒆𝒄𝒕 okay লগতে 𝒐𝒏𝒆𝒄𝒕 লগতে তেওঁ আৰু এটা নামেৰে জনা যায় this was known as what this was also known as he was also known as Ugrasena he was also known as Ekarat ekhini ki asile তেওঁৰ added names asile jeneke Vikramaditya boli kak koa jay আমি পঢ়িছিলো Gupta dynasty so বা Napoleon of India boli kak koa jay it was Samudragupta who was also known as Napoleon of India right so this is also but these are also the names of whom these are also the names of Mahapadma Nanda jeneke Mahapadma Nanda is also known as 𝒐𝒏𝒆𝒄𝒕 he was also known as Ugrasena he was also known as what also known as Ekarat. Ekarat mane ki hoy? Ekarat means sole monarch, right? Also, he was the first empire builder of Indian history. Ekhini kotha moi koisu. Ugrasena boli kyo jana jay? Because of what? He had a huge army. Hoy ne? Ki asile? He had a huge army. And this is the reason he is also known as Ugrasena, right? Ekarat ki asile? He was a sole monarch. আৰু 𝒐𝒏𝒆𝒄𝒕 কিয় আছিল because he was the uprooter of all kshatriyas right মই কি কৈছিলো তেওঁ kshatriya dynasty পৰা তেওঁ belong নকৰে হে কাৰণে কি আছিল he was considered as the uprooter of all kshatriyas গুটেগিনি kshatriya dynasty defeat কৰি তেওঁ নিজে ৰজা হৈছিল and this was the reason he was also known as what also known as 𝒐𝒏𝒆𝒄𝒕 okay very important question okay now moving on to the next question Which among the following was a characteristic feature of the Nanda administration? Decentralized polity, weak military, large standing army, and feudal governance. Which among the following was a characteristic feature of the Nanda administration? Nanda dynasty বিষয়তে আমি পঢ়িছিলো in details হয়নে so কি আছিল তাৰ characteristic feature decentralized polity weak military large standing army and feudal governance see classes খিনি আপোনালোকে যোনখিনি কৈ আছে হয়নে current affairs হক polity হক economics হক Assam পাঠ গোটেইখিনিয়ে কৰোৱা হ'ব but the thing is গোটেইখিনি যদি একেলগে কৰোৱা হয় আপোনালোকে কিমানখিনি একেলগে পঢ়িব মোক হেতু কথা কওকচোন right history খিনিয়ে কমপ্লিট হোৱা নাই মই তাকো পাৰ্ট কে কৰাই আছো ancient খিনি খতম কৰিছো ancient ৰ এটা ডিসকাশন কৰি আছো MCQs right after this I'll start the medieval পৰখি পৰা medieval start হৈ যাব so যদি এখিনি ৰিভিজন নকৰে কেনেকে হ'ব বাকিখিনি সাবজেক্ট মই বাদেই দিছো হিষ্ট্ৰী খতম হোৱা নাই হয়নে তো বাকিখিনি সাবজেক্টস যদি আপোনালোকে পঢ়াই ইমানখিনি তো you need to revise right you need to revise in order to retain the things এনেকুৱা নহয় কি মেমে আজি ক্লাছত পঢ়াই দিলে মোৰ সব মনত থাকি যাব না থাকে এনেকে মনত no one is born with such a memory হয়নে you need to revise and revise in order to secure your name in the examination right নিজে পঢ়িব লাগিব হেতু কাৰণে কষ্ট কৰিব লাগিব so বন্ধ দিয়া আছিল আপোনালোকৰ হয়নে ক্লাস নাছিলে but you need to do what you need to revise Anyways, so which among the following was the characteristic feature of the Nanda administration? So what will be the answer to this question? Teolokor ki asile they had a large standing army. Thik ase? So credit to ame kak diba paru? Credit can be given to Mahapadma Nanda. Okay? Why? Because he was also known as Ugrasena. Tar mane ki asile? He had a huge standing army. What do you mean by standing army? Army that is always ready for war, right? So Ugrasena boli tok kyo jana jay because he had a huge standing army. So tor jodi huge standing army asile tar mane etu ki hoy this particular huge standing army etu eta feature hoy feature of whom feature of the Nanda dynasty. ঠিক আছে লগতে tok ki boli jana jay moi already koisu logote tok Ekarat boli jana jay. ঠিক আছে why Ekarat? Because he was a sole monarch. হয়নে Next case le ba huge ba first empire builder of Indian history. He karne tok Ekarat boli jana jay. Logote ki asile 𝒐𝒏𝒆𝒄𝒕 by uprooter of all kshatriyas. Agor question et ami discuss korisu. Thik ase? So ekhini bostu important hoy. He karne moi koisu descriptive classes are very much important. Okay? So why Ugrasena? Because he had a large standing army, and এইটো large standing army কি হয়, this is a feature of the Nanda dynasty. ঠিক আছে, Nanda dynasty যেটা আমি পঢ়ো characteristic feature যদি মোক খুদে, so এইটো কি হ'ব, it will be the large standing army for the reason and he is considered as the Ugra Sena. কাক জনা যায়, it is the Mahapadma Nanda. ঠিক আছে, okay, moving on to the next question. The kingdom of Avanti had its capital at Kaushambi, Ujjaini ba Ujjain, Takshila ne Vaishali. Okay, yate important ki hoy, important is the state with its capital. Mane Mahajanapadas along with the capital. 16 Mahajanapadas asile hoy ne, descriptively ami ekhini class ot discuss korisilu about 16 Mahajanapadas. So he 16 Mahajanapadas or bikhoy kintu ekhini amar karone important hoy. Okay, tare majot ki important boli koisilu, we have studied about the 4, right? Important to gute khiniye hoy, capital mukhosto koribo lebo upay nai. So ami tare majot kar bikhoy porisilu, we have studied about the 4 ki asile, moi ki boli koisilu shortcut to, it was MVEC, right? Magad, Vatsa, Avanti and Kaushala. ঠিক আছে, so Magadhar karone capital ki asile, Magadhar karone capital was what? The capital was Rajgir. ঠিক আছে, Vatsar karone capital ki asile, it was Kaushambi, right? Eta Avanti karone capital ki asile, muke eta option ki dise, Kaushambi, Ujjaini, Takshila ne Vaishali. So Kaushambi to nohoy, Kaushambi kar capital asile, Kaushambi was the capital of Vatsa, right? So Kaushambi ki hoy, Kaushambi is not an option, and this is the reason moi ki agate hi table to disilu class ot jete discuss korisilu. ঠিক আছে, so Avanti capital jodi mo khude, Avanti capital ki hoy, it is what? Avanti had 2 capitals, hoy ne? Avanti capital ki asile, it was Ujjain and Mahismati, right? Mo koisilu MVEC or capitals are important, so ki asile, it was Ujjain and Mahismati. Kar capital asile, it was the capital of Avanti. Okay, next ki asile Kaushala. Kaushala karone capital ki asile, it was Ayodhya and Shravasti. ঠিক আছে, so ekhini important hoy. Magadhar karone ki asile, it was Rajgir. Vatsar karone ki asile, it was Kaushambi. Avanti, Ujjain and Mahismati. Okay, next Kaushala karone capital ki asile, it was Ayodhya and Shravasti. Okay, ekhini agote class ot discuss kora hoise, that too thoroughly. Okay, moving on to the next question. Who assisted Chandragupta Maurya in overthrowing the Nanda dynasty? Okay, Megasthenes, Chanakya, Bindusara ne Ashoka. Who assisted Chandragupta Maurya in overthrowing the Nanda dynasty? Agote discuss korisilu, first question ate discuss korisilu, I guess. Who assisted Chandragupta Maurya in overthrowing the Nanda dynasty? Megasthenes, Chanakya, Bindusara ne Ashoka. Chandragupta Maurya mane amar ki start hoise, yate amar Mauryan dynasty start hoise. Ami Mauryan dynasty bikhoy in details ami class ot porisilu ba discuss korisilu, hoy ne? So what will be the answer to this question? Who assisted Chandragupta Maurya in overthrowing the Nanda dynasty? The answer to this question will be what? It will be Chanakya. Chanakya, Kautilya ba Vishnugupta ki korisile? Chandragupta Maurya help korisile kak defeat koribole? To defeat Dhana Nanda, but the last Nanda ruler. Okay, yate eta option asile amar Megasthenes, hoy ne? Megasthenes kar court ole ahisile? Megasthenes, he came to the court of whom? He came to the court of Chandragupta Maurya, right? Eta Megasthenes kune pathaisile? Megasthenes was sent by who? Megasthenes was sent by Seleucus Nicator. Okay, and Megasthenes ki likhisile ekon kitab, that is very very important. Etor naam ki hoy? Indica. Okay, Indica kune likhisile? It was written by Megasthenes, and Megasthenes kune pathaisile? It was sent by Seleucus Nicator. ঠিক আছে, মই কি কৈছিলো যেতিয়া Mauryan dynasty পঢ়াইছিলো, be it Chandragupta Maurya, be it Bindusara, be it Ashoka, তেওঁলোকৰ ডাইনাষ্টিত কোন কোন আছিল বা তেওঁলোকৰ ৰুলাৰ টাইমত বা তেওঁলোক যেতিয়া ৰুলাৰ আছিল, তেওঁলোক যেতিয়া কিং আছিল, তেওঁলোকৰ টাইমত ইচ এণ্ড এভৰি কিঙৰ টাইমত কি আহিছিলে? এজন গ্ৰীক এম্বেচিডৰ আহিছিলে। ঠিক আছে, এইখিনি বিষয় মই ক্লাছত একদম থৰলি ডিসকাস কৰিছো। ওকে, ঠিক আছে so what will be the answer to this question etu asile Chanakya ki korisile Chanakya Chandragupta Maurya help korisile to defeat whom to defeat Dhana Nanda okay which Mauryan ruler was also known as Amitraghatta that is slayer of enemies ba kisuman kitapot slayer of foes buliu likha ase FOES okay Chandragupta Maurya Bindusara Ashoka ne Dashrath which Mauryan ruler was also known as Amitraghatta that is slayer of enemies ba slayer of foes Chandragupta Maurya Bindusara Ashoka ne Dashrath this is the reason why other names are very much important other names je ma class ot koi thaku theory this is the reason okay so which Mauryan ruler was also known as Amitraghatta what will be the answer ki hoy it is Bindusara right Bindusara was also known as Amitraghatta ba aru eta naam ki asile it was Amitraghatta ba Amitrachetas buliu moi কৈছিলো হয়নে কাক জনা যায় it was Bindusara okay এটা Bindusara court ot কোন আহিছিলে Bindusara court ot it was whom it was কোন আহিছিলে Bindusara court ot এখিনি ক্লাছত একদম ডেসক্রিপটিভলি কৰাইছিল বে মই Bindusara court ot কোন আহিছিলে it was Demacos who was sent by whom who was sent by Antiochus I Soter hoy kar court ole ahisile it was in the court of Bindusara okay Bindusara was a follower of which particular religion he was a follower of Ajivikas okay Bindusara kontu religion follow korisile he followed Ajivikas aru Chandragupta Maurya ki korisile Chandragupta Maurya Jainism follow korisile hoine teo koloi goi goisil teo southern parts of India that is Shravana Belgola le goisil kar logot goisile Bhadrabahur logot tate goi teo ki korisile tate goi teo Sale Khana ba Kaya Klesha teo tate perform korisile that is starvation to death Shravana Belgola Chandragiri Hills present day code present day it is at Karnataka ঠিক আছে এখিনি কোনে কৰিছিলে this was done by Chandragupta Maurya আৰু তেওঁৰ son Bindusara কি ফলো কৰিছিলে Bindusara Ajivika religion to তেওঁ ফলো কৰিছিলে and Bindusara is also known as what Amitraghatta ba Amitrachetas and তেওঁৰ কোৰ্টলৈ কোন আহিছিলে it was Demacos who came to the court of Bindusara and he was sent by whom কোনে পঠাইছিলে তেওঁ he was sent by Antiochus I Soter ঠিক আছে this was being taught in the class okay next Ashoka's Dhamma mainly emphasized what ritual sacrifices military expansion ethical conduct and tolerance ne Buddhist monastic rules Chandragupta Maurya ki follow korisile he was following Jainism right Bindusara ki follow korisile Ajivikas next Ashoka ki follow korisile he was the follower of Buddhism hane mo koisilu Kalinga war hoisile after Kalinga war what happened after Kalinga war Ashoka was converted into Buddhism by whom by Upagupta hoine waror jiman kini atrocities ba jiman kini negativity asile iman manuje morisile te hetu sai ki hoisile he was very much moved and with this what happened with this Ashoka was converted to Buddhism with the help of kun asile jone tok Buddhism convert korisile it was Upagupta ঠিক আছে who had converted বা who helped in converting Ashoka to Buddhism ঠিক আছে তেও যেতে adopt কৰিলে Buddhism then কি কৰিছিলে তেও third Buddhist council right কি কৰিছিলে it was the third Buddhist council and tate তেও কি কৰিছিলে he had sent his son and daughter কি নাম আছিলে Mahendra and Sangamitra to where to Burma as well as Sri Lanka for the propagation of whom for the propagation of Buddhism ঠিক আছে তেও এখিনি বস্তু কৰিছিলে কিন্তু ইয়াতে মোক question কি হৈছে তেও জন্তু Dhamma policy asile hetu ki hot emphasize kore ritual sacrifices military expansion ethical conduct and tolerance ne Buddhist monastic rules so yare more answer to ki hobo the answer will be ethical conduct and tolerance right from Beri Gosha to Dhamma Gosha etu line ma koisilu hoine Beri Gosha to Dhamma Gosha le teo ki korisile nijoke teo convert korisile and he became the follower of Buddhism he started to maintain peace. When he became the follower of Buddhism, he started to maintain peace among the rulers, but peace among his people. Okay, and this was the reason he had adopted Dhamma Ghosha. Teo ki holo change hoisil, Bheri Ghosha to Dhamma Ghosha teo change hoisile. And jetia teo peaceful policies adopt korisile, teo Dhamma ki indicate kore, teo Dhamma koi je you need to follow ethical conduct and tolerance. ঠিক আছে, teo ki korisile after Kalinga war, teo aru warot focus korai nasile. Okay, he followed in what? He followed in the religion. Okay, so ami ki koba paro, ethical conduct and tolerance ot teo follow korisile. Kune korisile? This was done by Ashoka. Okay, after his conversion to Buddhism. Okay, third Buddhist council jetu ma mention koriso, third Buddhist council ot aru eta bostu hoisile, hetu ki asile? That is compilation of what? Compilation of Abhidhamma Pitaka. Right, Tripitakas asile hoine. So Sutta Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka, aru Abhidhamma Pitaka. Vinaya Pitaka, Sutta Pitaka, first Buddhist council, right? Aru Abhidhamma Pitaka asile in the third Buddhist council. So Vinaya Pitaka was written by whom? Written by Upali, and Sutta Pitaka was written by Ananda. ঠিক আছে, so three Pitakas. Sutta Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka, and Abhidhamma Pitaka. Okay, Ashokar logot jodi related, it is Dhamma. Bheri Ghosha to Dhamma Ghosha hoisile. So yate amur answer to ki hobo? It is ethical conduct and tolerance. After what? After the Kalinga war. Right, Ashoka ki korisile? He killed 99 of his brothers, sparing only one brother. Jar naam ki asile? Jar naam asile Tisa. Okay, he spared only one brother, that is Tisa, that is the youngest brother of Ashoka, and he killed 99 of his brothers, and then to ki korisile? Then to Raja hoisile. But in the Kalinga war, after the Kalinga war, teo ki korisile? Kalinga war jete iman manu mori joa dekhile, teor karone jete dekhise je iman manu morise, he was deeply moved, and this was the reason he was converted into Buddhism by whom? Converted to Buddhism by Upagupta. Right, ekhini class ot thoroughly discuss kora hoise. Okay, recently I got a comment in a YouTube. Okay, the classes mane bujai dibo nalage, direct mane shortcut ot pohai jabo lage. ঠিক আছে, classes kini short koriba lage, kintu eta kotha moi koi diu, eta jodi moi direct shortcut ot pohai diu, ekko jodi moi explain nokoru, you guys don't study, and jodi moi explain nokoru, tetia hole apunalage kintu ekko buji napai. There is no use giving one question and one answer to this. ঠিক আছে, মই যদি এটা question and এটা answer দি দিও, আপোনালোকে যদি ভাবিছে এটো মুখস্থ মাৰি মই যাম পৰীক্ষাত এটো আহিব, এটো কিন্তু ভুল ভাবিছে। ঠিক আছে, হেকাৰডে explanation is necessary. এনেকুৱা হ'ব নালাগে কি মই question কৈ আছো, মই explanation দিছো আৰু আপোনালোকে explanation খিনি পাৰে, only you are just reading the question and answer. এনেকুৱা হলে তো পুৰে ভাল, courses খিনি হুটকালে শেষ হৈ যাব, কিন্তু আপোনালোকৰ লাভ হ'ব নে লছ হ'ব আপোনালোকে এটো বস্তু নিজে ভাবি চাওক। Okay, this is the reason why মই অলপ descriptively answer খিনি discuss কৰি আছো। যদি descriptively নকৰো, একোটো guarantee নাই কি এখিনি question আহিব, মইতো paper set নকৰো, হয়নে? So হে কাৰণে অলপ description is very much important. ঠিক আছে? Anyways, the Kalinga war was fought in which particular year? Approximate year to hudise, that is 261 BC, 273 BC, 232 BC ne 250 BC. The Kalinga war was fought in which particular year? Okay, Kalinga war kone fight korisile? It was done by Ashoka, hoine? Agar question I discuss korisile. After this ki hoisile? Buddhism kone korisile? Upagupta. Then he had given what? He had given Dhamma Ghosha. Bheri Ghosha to Dhamma Ghosha hoisile. He had convened the third Buddhist council, son and daughter Mahendra and Sanghamitra kole pothaisile. He was being sent to Sri Lanka as well as Burma. Okay, so Kalinga war was fought in which particular year? It was fought in the year 261 BC. After this, their Buddhism conversion hoisile. ঠিক আছে? Anyways, moving on to the next particular question. Which of the following texts provides a detailed account of Mauryan administration? Arthashastra, Indica, Puranas ne Dipavamsha. Which of the following texts provides a detailed account of Mauryan administration? Arthashastra, Indica, Puranas ne Dipavamsha. Which of the following text provides a detailed account of Mauryan administration? So what will be the answer to this question? Answer ki hai? It is Arthashastra. Arthashastra kone likhisile? It was written by whom? Arthashastra was written by Kautilya. আমি কি বহু Kautilya's Arthashastra মানে Indica কোনে লিখিছিলে? It was written by Megasthenes. Okay, next Puranas আমি কি পঢ়িছিলো? মৎস্য পুৰাণা কি হয়? Oldest পুৰাণা. বিষ্ণু পুৰাণ, শিৱ পুৰাণ, ব্ৰহ্মা পুৰাণ আমি পঢ়িছিলো হয়নে? যেতিয়া আমি বেদিক এজ পঢ়িছিলো তেতিয়া পঢ়িছিলো, ঠিক আছে। দীপাবংশৰ লগত আৰু এটা নাম পঢ়িছিলো, মহাবংশা। কি আছিলে দীপাবংশ and মহাবংশা? This were the Sri Lankan Chronicles. হয়, এইখিনি বিষয়ে আমি ক্লাছত thoroughly কিন্তু ডিসকাস কৰিছিলো। আমি কি কৈছিলো যে sources Mauryan dynasty বা Mauryan history বিষয়ে sources খিনি আমি কেনেকে পাইছো from this particular things. Okay, তাতে দীপাবংশ and মহাবংশা আমি পঢ়িছিলো। This were the Sri Lankan Chronicles that give us what? That give us information about the Mauryan dynasty. কিন্তু Mauryan administration যদি মোক particularly mention কৰি দিছে then কি হ'ব? It will be Arthashastra. কোনে লিখিছিলে? It was written by Kautilya. ঠিক আছে, আগতে কৈছো Kautilya, Chanakya, Vishnugupta, they are the same person. Okay, which ruler is credited with convening the second Buddhist council at Vaishali? Bimbisara, Ajatashatru, Ashoka ne Mahapadma Nanda. Which ruler is credited with convening the second Buddhist council at Vaishali? Bimbisara, Ajatashatru, Ashoka ne Mahapadma Nanda. Buddhist councils, 4 Buddhist councils isle first, second, third, fourth gutekhini in details pohua goise. So fourth Buddhist council, second Buddhist councilor logot kon associated? Which ruler is credited with convening the second Buddhist council at Vaishali? Okay, location dia ase second Buddhist council kot hoisile? Second Buddhist council hoisile amar Vaishali, thik ase, but my question of ki hodise kon ruler asile, right? Ruler, chairperson, jot apnalokor sobotke beshi confusion hoy. Chairperson kon asile? Question is beleg. Ruler kon asile ba raja kon asile? Etu beleg. So yate mo question ki hodise who was the king ba who was the ruler? So who was the ruler? Ruler was Ashoka. Ashoka ki korisile? Ashoka second Buddhist council. He patronized the second Buddhist council, right? Ashoka jetia second Buddhist council patronize korisile, Kot korisile? It was done at Vaishali. Hoine question book diya ase, it was done at Vaishali. Okay, now this particular Ashoka, he belonged to which particular dynasty? Ashoka was from Shishunaga dynasty. Okay, kuntu dynasty pora asile? He belonged to the Shishunaga dynasty. And this particular Ashoka, he was also known as what? Also known as Kakavarna. Okay, this Ashoka, he was also known as what? Also known as Kakavarna. Kuntu dynasty pura belong korisile? That is the Shishunaga dynasty. Okay, and yate amar ki hoisile? Second Buddhist council tok patronize korisile, right? Kot korisile? It was at Vaishali. Okay, see, you might get bored. Okay, moi bare bare ekekhini kotha ke repeat kori asu ba class descriptively korai asu, hekhini moi repeat kori asu. You might get bored, but the thing is upay nai, koribo lagibo moi, because if you don't study, this is the way I need to adopt it, right? Next question. According to Greek sources, the capital of Mauryan Empire was what? Mauryan Empire capital ki asile according to the Greek sources? Takshila, Ujjain, Patliputra ne Vaishali. According to the Greek sources, the capital of the Mauryan Empire was what? Takshila, Ujjain, Patliputra ne Vaishali. Question to kintu alop modify kora ase, yat ki di ase according to Greek sources boli di ase, right? Direct kintu muk huda nai Mauryan Empire capital to ki asile. So according to Greek sources, what was the capital of the Mauryan Empire? What will be the answer to this question? It was at Patliputra. ঠিক আছে, so Mauryan Empire according to the Greek sources, Mauryan Empire amar capital to ki asile? It was at Pataliputra ba Patliputra. Okay, ঠিক আছে, moving on to the next particular question. Which of the following statements about Bindusara is correct? He embraced Buddhism after a major war. He conquered Kalinga. He maintained friendly relation with Hellenistic rulers. Nay, he ruled only at Magad. Which of the following statements about Bindusara is correct? He embraced Buddhism after a major war. He conquered Kalinga. He maintained friendly relations with the Hellenistic rulers. Nay, he ruled only Magad. Hellenistic mane jodi porikhat hudise ba apnaloke jodi gom napai Hellenistic mane hol Greek. Okay, Hellenistic mane hol Greek. Okay, so which of the following statements about Bindusara is correct? He embraced Buddhism after a major war. He conquered Kalinga. He maintained friendly relations with the Hellenistic rulers but Greek rulers. Nay, he ruled only at Magad. So answer ki hobo? He maintained friendly relations with the Hellenistic rulers. Okay. ঠিক আছে. He embraced Buddhism after a major war. Bindusara time ami kiba major war bikhoy pohisu niki? Poha nai. Logote eta ki dia ase Buddhism. Bindusara ki patronize korisile? He was the follower of what? He was the follower of Ajivikas. Right? Their time to okol major war bikhoy ami eku poha nasilu hoine ami major war kar bikhoy pohisilu etu information kar karone appropriate etu information Ashokar karone appropriate ঠিক আছে Ashoka কি কৰিছিলে বুদ্ধিজম এডপ্ট কৰিছিলে আফটাৰ মেজৰ war কি আছিল কালিঙ্গা war ঠিক আছে হি কনকুৱেৰ্ড কালিঙ্গা হয়নে নহয় কোনে কৰিছিলে ডান বাই Ashoka okay next he maintained friendly relations with the Hellenistic বা Greek rulers this option is correct he ruled only Magad rule কৰিছিলে নেকি কৰা নাছিলে হয়নে তেও আৰু বাকি এৰিয়াজো তেও ৰুল কৰিছিলে যোনটো এৰিয়াজ আমাৰ নন্দা ডাইনেষ্টি আন্ডাৰটো আছিল লগতে তেও কি কৰিছিলে নিজৰ এৰিয়াটো তেও এক্সপান্ড কৰিছিলে ঠিক আছে সো মই আগতেও কৈছো হয়নে only related যোনটো কোৱেশ্চন থাকিব only কোৱেশ্চনটো কিন্তু most of the times okay not always ঠিক আছে most of the times only কোৱেশ্চনটো কিন্তু only word mention কৰা থাকা কোৱেশ্চনটো কিন্তু ভুল হয় most of the times okay এটা most of the times কৈছো হেবুলি আৰু আপোনালোকে এটো ভাবিবা নালাগে যে মেমে কৈছে only question ভুলে হ'ব পৰীক্ষাত সো যোনটো পৰীক্ষাত only আছে মানে ভুল হেতু হ'ব নালাগে মই কি কৈছো most of the times এই কাৰণে be very careful okay next question which Mauryan ruler is associated with the Barabar caves inscription Chandragupta Maurya Bindusara Ashoka ne Dashrath which Mauryan ruler is associated with the Barabar cave inscriptions Chandragupta Maurya Bindusara Ashoka ne Dashrath So answer ki hobo yare it is Dashrath okay Dashrathor bikhoy moi ki koisilu he is not associated with Ramayana right Dashrath ami literally ami kihor logot poku we study with whom we study with Ramayana kintu jetia moi Mauryan buli koisu Mauryanor logot this Dashrath is not related but this particular Dashrath is not related with whom this particular Dashrath is not related with the Ramayana ঠিক আছে so he karone this Dashrath ba এজন দশৰথৰ লগত আমি ৰামায়ণৰ যোনটা আমাৰ ষ্টৰী হয় হেতুক এছ'চিয়েট কৰিব নালাগে ঠিক আছে সো দশৰথ কোন আছিল হি ওয়াজ দি কব পাৰো উইক ৰুলাৰ্স অফ দি Mauryan dynasty কিন্তু লাষ্ট ৰুলাৰ যদি মোক খুদিছে লাষ্ট ৰুলাৰ কোন হ'ব লাষ্ট ৰুলাৰ ওয়াজ বৃহদ্ৰথ সো বৃহদ্ৰথ কোন আছিল বৃহদ্ৰথ ওয়াজ দি লাষ্ট ৰুলাৰ অফ দি Mauryan dynasty কিন্তু মোক ইয়াত কি খুদিছে দশৰথৰ লগত কি হ'ব Barabar cave inscription is associated ঠিক আছে so weak rulers বা when the modern empire started to decline tetia kun asile rulers it was Dashrath and Brihadrat so Brihadrat was the last modern ruler who was replaced by whom replaced by Pushyamitra Sunga who established the Sunga dynasty after Sunga amar ki hele Kanva dynasty Vasudeva Kanva asile right ekhini bikami bohisu ঠিক আছে so Barabar cave inscription kar logot associated it is associated with Dashrath okay ঠিক আছে so ekhini asile for today each and every question just a second let me check is everything being done okay ঠিক আছে গুটেখিনি কৰা হৈছে ঠিক আছে so this was everything for today's class Continue with the revision, ঠিক আছে 2025 তো same dialogue দিছো 2026 ত আহিও মই same কথাই কৈছো continue with your revision নকৰিলে এখিনি বস্তুত বহুত প্ৰবলেম হ'ব ঠিক আছে আৰু এটো নহয় কি মেমে এমসিকিউ কৰাইছে এখিনি এমসিকিউ মই মুখস্থ কৰি যাম ডেসক্ৰিপটিভ ক্লাसेস খিনি নাচাও নিজে নোটস নবনাও এখিনি পৰীক্ষা আহিব নাহে ঠিক আছে যদি এটো ভাবি থৈছে এখিনি পৰীক্ষা আহিব নাহে কিন্তু মই কৈ দিছো এখিনি লগত ৰিলেটেড আহিব পাৰে বলে মই আজি এটো পঢ়াইছো এটো লগত ৰিলেটেড মই যোনখিনি এক্সট্ৰা এডেড ইনফৰমেশন দিছো তাৰে মাজৰ পৰা কিবা আহি গৈছে ঠিক আছে কিন্তু এটো কথা নহয় কি ডাইৰেক্ট মই এটো কোৱেশ্চন দিছো তো এটো কোৱেশ্চনে পৰীক্ষা আহিব দিস ইজ নট দ্য ৱে টু ষ্টাডি ঠিক আছে এন্ড অলসো there is no shortcut to success এটো কথা আপোনালোকে গমে পায় ঠিক আছে success always comes with hard work luck to factor আছে ঠিক আছে লাকৰ কথা মই নকও কিন্তু success always comes with the hard work so you need to work hard okay just eto kotha hoday bhabibo iman candidates ase iman posts ase hoine I am also one of the candidates right you are also appearing you are also one of the candidates apnalokor class ote sabo kiman students ase sobe to fight kori ase just for one particular seat hoine karone nijor efforts to dibole aru eto nohoy ki porikhar agot moi pohim right porikha ahi paise next month porikha moi etia so pohi so you can't do right you can't literally you can't হেগাৰে আগৰে পৰা your efforts are very much important and very much necessary ঠিক আছে so with this I end my today's class you continue with your preparation okay we'll meet tomorrow okay thank you so much